had shared Ricardo's name with me. Ricardo was part of the West Coast version of it. They started out in Keelet, Fino. And I believe it's been 5 years out there, hey Ricardo, that you've been doing?
With Warriors out there?
Or
LVI?
Yeah, LVI.
LVI's been 5 years
Yeah,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
So I also met Ricardo through my fellow carpentry instructor at North Island College. Andrew was working with Ricardo on some cabins. So multiple angles this year, and they are only here today from my request. They are not here to pitch anything. They're not trying to get to Huayet. I was fortunate to be part of experiencing the Warriors program, and it's something that I want to be a part of, and I want us to look at for Huayet youth and future leaders. So basically, I lined up for them to come out today. He's just putting up a little video, short video. As you've seen in the briefing note, really this is just an introduction. This program could be something that is fully reliant on grants, which many have been. We can wait till it's zero financial implications to Huayet, but generally I think you'll see by the video, very powerful, very organic, and very community driven. Every community that's been involved has been involved from the beginning, including the chiefs. It's done, in my opinion, the right way, and always open for new ways, but I'll get him to maybe multitask, and I'll have Ricardo.
Well, the gentleman can introduce,
Okay.
it's really, I'm Ricardo. Hi. This whole program started not for any purpose of us ever intending on standing in front of you. We started 5 years ago for one young man. His name was James Walton. He can't be here today. He's getting his passport in Victoria. Yes, so he can go to New Zealand next year to do an exchange with the Maori, right? So it's pretty cool that we only started this for him, right? 2 years, we call it the Dark Days of Just James, and it was only him in the rain, right? The program was only started because I was asked. I had started my doctorate after LVI. I started my Doctor of Social Sciences at Royal Roads, looking at Indigenous leadership, because I realized I was ignorant. I realized I was uneducated my whole life. I had been groomed by the military and by the corporate world about leadership, but I started to hear these things in LVI, which is a community-oriented program about elders. With elders coming in and sharing leadership teachings that were foreign to me. I realized I was ignorant, so I started my doctorate then. And while I was doing my doctorate, Trevor Wickham and Iris Frank, when they worked at Ucluithat there, they asked if I would come and take a look at why the men's group hadn't worked for the last 2 times they had tried it. And over the 10 years that Trevor and Iris were trying to get something going for the men. And so I did what I didn't even know what research was, right? I was just the start of school and all of that, but I walked around the community and talked to anyone that would talk to me and got bitten by dogs. It was great. Like that's what research is now for me. I know it now. It's good. It's accepted. But when I went back to the community at the end of the summer to say, hey, well, here's what came up. And what I did was I modeled it on what I had done in the military with leaders, with junior leaders. In the reserves, we met 1 night a week and 1 weekend a month, and together we created stories. We created stories of brotherhood, a trust, a love, a snuggling for warmth that I wasn't able to find anywhere in the civilian world until these young men, right? And then to see them all come now and do, as an infantry officer in my previous life, I learned to be replaceable, and now this is what's happening. So this is why I'm just the tech guy, I guess. But this never started for anyone but James. And now we've got Daniel and Hayden standing here, and there's a whole flock that this is happening with. But none of it ever started to be anything. When we started this program, it was 1 night a week and 1 weekend a month, and what happened, the men didn't come. The young men did. So the young men's voice is what we heard and drove the program and shaped the program. That's why out in Effingham, where we go with some of these men from Cluthat, right? Indian Island and Hookman for Talquia, Meejan River for Ahousaht, when they go out, we put up a zip line because that's one of their dreams, right? Like it's their vision for this. And that's the part we look for with all of this. So yeah, we never started this to be here. So it's great. I don't now need to be anymore because I'll let my young men that have now turned 18, because it's been 5 years. Happy birthday, Hayden, today. 18, right? You know, so yeah, please, I'll just work on the tech stuff. Daniel, Hayden, please introduce. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Daniel. My dad's James Johnson, I'm the nickname, and my mom's Ivy Bell. And well, I guess to tell you like what Warriors means to me, like in Cloakwood, like how it works, I guess is we've been doing this for about a year, off and on. I mean, we took a break in the summer, but we're going to be starting up again soon. Sometime this week or next week, we're going to have a meeting with all the youth and all the parents. But before or when I came to Tayastanis, I don't know. I guess I got to know the youth around, and I asked them about their culture, and I asked them about like who they are, because I was curious, and most didn't talk about it because they didn't know about it. They didn't know who they were. They didn't know who their family was. They didn't know why they sing. They don't know why they have chiefs. They don't know all of that. And there was lots of youth that actually hated it. They despised being Cloakwood. They hated singing. They hated dancing. They hated going to potlatches. But when we started Warriors and we started bringing the youth that didn't like it, that they hated it, we brought them out to culture. We brought them out to learn new things. We taught them who they are. And now the people that first hated culture, hated singing, hated dancing, they're really strong singers and dancers now. It's like one kid that I know that I'm really close with, Aaron, he hated it. He hated singing. He hated dancing. He didn't want to be Cloakwood. He didn't want to go to potlatches. He didn't want to know who he was. But now he's trying to learn his language. He's learning who his family is. He's learning the songs and dances. He loves it now. And he's awesome. Because Warriors helped me figure out who I was, and it helped me with a lot. Like, I really don't think I would be here right now if it weren't for my mom forcing me to go help at a potlatch in Macola. And then I found Ricardo, and then she made me go to Warriors, and I opened up right away on the first weekend, and I told a lot about who I was and what I've been through, and that's really what I guess Warriors is helping do in Cloakwood, is bring that voice back to the youth, because right now it feels like the main focus for the community now is the youth, and it always has been, I guess, the focus, but now when I first came to Tayastanis, it really seemed like the youth didn't know who the chiefs were, and the chiefs didn't know who the youth were. And you've seen it the first time we brought them to culture. They didn't know how to handle the children. They didn't know how to, I guess, talk to them. And you talk to them about the kids and about who they know. And they tell you all the bad things they know about the kids. They tell you about bad stories they know. And then now you don't hear that. You hear all the good stories. You hear the youth talking about culture. You hear the youth excited to go to culture, excited to go to a potlatch. And we're having a youth-led conference next year, as well as a youth-led potlatch in April. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about Warriors.
Hi, my name is Hayden Seacher. My father is Chris Seacher. My mother is Melanie Purdy. I come from Tloquit. When I first joined Warriors, I didn't want to be a part of anything. I heard about it through Daniel, the Tloquit Warriors, and he wanted me to join, kept telling me, and so did my friends who were in the Warriors. And I kept saying no, but eventually it came to Tloquit, the Tloquit Warriors, and Daniel encouraged me to go. And the first day there, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but it did help me. It got to me. I didn't want to be a part of the community in any way. I didn't want to be. I despise culture and I despise a lot of things. I just wanted to be alone and in my own room, and I wouldn't be doing anything. But what happened was it pushed me. Daniel pushed me, and the Warriors pushed me to get out there and make myself vulnerable for other people and make myself enjoy what the rest of the world has to offer, the culture, and show me how to really be happy and uplift my spirits and how to enjoy culture, enjoy interacting with other people, and to enjoy being in nature again, and enjoy learning about my family history. And it really set me on my path to figure out who I am, where I'm going, and what I need. And I can say it's gotten me closer with not just the youth in the Warriors and Daniel and Ricardo. It made me want to try and be closer with my family and get to know who I am. And it is a part of my identity to be a warrior. And I would say it's a short and brief thing about me. Click over.
I'll show the video. And we've been working with them we've changed the model in how the program launches. So, I mean, the details are outlined in the proposal there, but the idea with, the basic idea with how we want to do it, because it's not, we don't have the solution for your community. It has to be community driven. And the solution's already there. The young people are all I listen to because they're the only ones that would have talked to me, right? They were the only ones that told me what to do. And so now it's different when they come with me and they tell another 17-year-old, Ricardo's like that because he loves you, right? When my eye twitches, they don't pick something up that they just walked right past, right? Like pick up a granola bar wrapper, right? So it's those things that we, as uncles, need to be there to nurture in them. So I'll send the other two videos as well in case some haven't seen it for you to look at any point. But I guess where we're going this coming fall, Cayuquit and Sachat, and hopefully if we can find a team of individuals from Huayet that would be interested in joining. I've talked to, I know funding is always one of the big questions, and capacity is always the other, right? So those are conversations that I'm willing to have, and as dialogue goes on, there is absolutely no pressure to do this, but the way the model works, that because we're burning out from doing this work, it's not my work, it's not what I do. I worked with the Chimamuk out of the Center of Disease Control doing men's, women's, and two-spirit wellness and family healing
that's what I do, right? I just happen to be lucky enough to be taught by these men as I learned what I had to. And so there's no pressure with any of this, but a couple ideas with the funding sources. We've had a lot of success through First Nations Health Authority, through Jordan's Principle, through domestic violence funding, and I can speak with Charlie and others about this type of stuff. But the way we would like to launch programs moving forward, and this is a pilot year, we would love for input from the community members that do participate in it. But it's a pilot. We would look to bring them together. Sachat has offered Keith Island for 3 days of training. Buckshot, you saw him in the video, the guy there with the log cabins. They would be there for the first gathering. We would have conversations, survival skills, conversations around suicide intervention and prevention, conversations around respect for women, inclusivity around Two-Spirit. And we would then look at the community program and how it would work. And I can share more details about that. I know time is limited here, but the intention is for us to be there to support with when you go out on the land at the first 3 retreats that you do in the spring, as outlined in the plan there. And then we want to do log cabin building at the end, again. So I'll turn it over to Charlie or anyone else just for questions, but thanks for your time so far in general.
Any questions for Ricardo? Team?
I think we're ready to approve the motion.
You say
We're gonna do it.
We can leave. No.
Yeah. You wanna watch what we do with the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, is there someone prepared to move the motion? Moved by Kishan, seconded by Trevor. And the motion is that we approve the Warriors program for fall launch 2019, subject to Finance and Huntway Council review and recommendation. And one of the things Kathy, Felicia and I just mentioned, it seems like our social service program, this is a good fit. So anyway, anyone, any discussion on the motion? John?
I just had a question in regards to, is it limited to the 2019 or would it extend into 2020? Reading the briefing note, it wasn't really clear to me whether or not it was how it works. Like if we make a decision now for now, does that take us into 2020 and beyond?
Yeah, that's what the
I
proposal
think the motion is
shows.
launch it.
The
Launch it?
proposal
Yeah, we're launching
shows
it.
right till May 2020.
Okay, no, that's great. Yeah.
But I would like to see that, like
Yeah.
John, I think we should continue to this actually speak to something I spoke to earlier. When you look at our community, our young male youth are missing from a lot of things. So, any more discussion on the motion?
Just last one, the proposal is more written for like applying for grants. So
Yeah.
definitely we already have a lot of resources, but that's kind of the intention of the proposal, is to submit it to.
But I think what we're saying is, I think we have the internal sources to do it, but yes, we will naturally take advantage of what we can. But I guess all I'm getting to is that we're not gonna use, oh, we didn't get a grant as an excuse not to do it. John?
Yeah, on that though, providing our own resources and even using some of our own funding will actually help grants move along because of our ability to show that we've already invested in the program. Other government agencies or the Crown government, they'll be more willing to contribute as a result of that. So that's a good thing.
Good. Okay, hearing no opposition or contrary discussion to the motion, motion carried. Approved. That's how we do business here.
I've got to say, like, this work has been so hard for so long. And I felt alone. I felt alone in this work for so long. And for someone like Charlie to come out and volunteer for 4 days of his time, I know he's probably missing council business, but I'm sorry, but he came to volunteer his time to help us build those cabins. I've been begging. I speak to Michael McCarthy. I talk to any man, Ed Ross. I talk to any man that will talk to me, any New Channel man, and say, please, please come and like be a part of this and believe in this. And to see that happen so quickly. All I've done is beg people to understand that the work I do at the Center of Disease Control is pulling people out of the river that are already drowning in addictions, in sexual violence, all of those things. These guys aren't falling into that river yet, or they're not getting pulled in by friends yet. They're not in the stream yet. We're stopping it before, and that's why begging for money at FNHA is so challenging. Because they don't understand that we're not prescribing drugs to them. It's not the solution, right? So I appreciate more than you can imagine. More than you can imagine.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you got nothing to apologize for. I
You need
mean,
to know
you know,
that.
like,
You need to know that as a council.
You're doing work that needs to be done, and I'm really glad that you and Charlie are focusing on our young male youth. We have to reach out to them, so there's no doubt in my mind. You know, I've said this a lot of times. I remember when our budgets were vague and plead for penny here and penny there, and then now that we have the funds, it should be, you know, let's do some of the things that we need to do. And I see.
Charlie, she just doesn't want to move the
Sorry.
Is
camera.
there any outstanding?
We have
The $10,000 one, I think, is outstanding.
No, we decided at one of the council meetings to, instead of doing the one lump sum of 10,000, to continue the $500 for elders.
Yeah.
Okay.
We haven't touched on the constitution amendments.
I thought non-policy was assigned just to do a review.
We haven't done that yet.
No? Okay.
Was there a motion on the Constitution amendment or a motion on the review of legislation? Was it a
To
constitutional?
do a legislative amendment.
You may have gotten that confused then, because I know that Tony's doing a high-level review of everything. That could be part of it. Do you want to do that?
No amendments to the Constitution, it
It's
doesn't go
going to be
together.
a monumental
Yeah.
effort.
That's good.
The government member remuneration expenses, we're doing that in workers' fire policy.
We haven't reviewed the distribution to minors policy. That was in regards to lowering the,
Age
age, yeah, for small distributions.
yeah.
to 16, wasn't it?
Oh, well,
Yeah, I think that's right.
just to go back to that motion regarding distribution for citizens over 60, how did you say that one is handled again? Because this motion here, maybe I'm just mixed up on what the motion is.
So
Because
those were the People's Assembly motions that came, that were at
it
the.
came from the People's Assembly.
Yeah.
And then there should
So-
be a motion from us saying how we dealt with that?
Yeah, I did not include that into today's materials, but
Yeah.
at one of
Okay,
them,
My question is, we are in a position then to provide an answer to all
Yes.
the motions? Okay.
majority of them, yes. So we just haven't
When you
heard back
say
on,
Which ones haven't we then, if you're saying majority?
we haven't touched on the Constitution amendments and the distribution for minors policy.
I thought we did with the Constitution. I thought because we looked at the Government Act last spring as well as the Economic Development Act, and we put the Constitution all together with that for this fall.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that's what I recall. That's what I recall.
Yeah.
But it may not have been clear.
And then we were gonna start community engagement sessions
Yeah.
on
In and
that.
around it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it should have been all together.
yeah.
Anyway, okay, pull that one out, let's see, let's make sure, and we'll have to make sure that we've dealt, so any motions then, Corley, that we haven't dealt with, if needed, we can have a special meeting for those, or we can put it on the next agenda.
So I'll start drafting my report
Yep.
and then
Okay.
for you guys to review.
So basically, when we do that one, that'll mean that we've addressed all the motions.
Yeah.
And remember, there was a motion that needs to be reviewed 3 months after, and I believe we've done that.
Yeah.
That was done, but there was some still outstanding work that needs to be done. Okay. But remember though, what we think is done may be a different view from the people's assembly.
Well, and that will just bring a little bit more detail to what the request
Yeah.
is that we're not providing.
Okay. Okay, moving on, that takes care of that one. The HR org chart, decision from July 11th, Charlie Clark. All right. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, basically was either hoping for clarification or just speaking about the details of our motion that day. I believe I asked and other council member asked about the details of our decision, and it was, I believe, the thought at the table that current hiring processes wouldn't be affected. Anything posted or interviewed was going to go through. But unfortunately, I guess the motion came out without that language, and all of the postings that were out were affected, and there was no hiring done. So I just wanted to, you read the motion and it's very clear, just stop hiring, but I just wanted to either,
I think my understanding, there was a hiring freeze until the evaluation is done, correct?
Mhm.
So the sooner we get the evaluation done, the sooner we can revisit this motion. Because I think there was some concerns about, did we have the financial capacity? And I think Charlie, you were one of them that raised that, our financial position. And I think if that's what we're looking at, you've raised a legitimate concern. Does our financial position enable us to have the staff we have now? Does our financial position enable us to hire more resources? But we need that evaluation done. So the sooner that gets done, the better off. I would focus on getting the evaluation done. John?
Then I guess my question would be, when would the evaluation be complete?
I don't know if the motion asks for that.
I don't think if there's a date in
The
the,
motion just says that when the new executive director is hired, that person will have input into
Yeah.
the final thing.
Yeah.
So you're asking to revisit that?
no, I think it was more, like it was just from memory, the discussion at the table. Of course, with anything, we can only go back to the motion, so I was hoping just for discussion on if the table felt like that was our thought of, like, the current positions wouldn't be affected. And that was part of, in my mind, that was part of my decision is, like, I agree with the hiring freeze, but I wasn't fully in agreement with just, like, if they had interviews the next day to just cancel everything, that they would go through with hiring as planned. I think there was just a few, I know there was maybe 4 or something, I don't know, 5.
Okay, let me, how did I go here? Trevor, then Ed,
And John.
and then John?
John
Okay.
first. John was before me.
Okay, Trevor? Or Felician, was it? Oh, Trevor.
I was gonna add on there. After the debriefing motion was carried by executive council at the last holdings board meeting, I did a briefing note for the HFNDC board for an evaluation of our business structure. They've asked to do it together with Kuwait on the government side. For me, my consideration when we were speaking is this was going to be done in parallel. The understanding, or from what I was bringing to the table when we had this council meeting in July, was we want to be prepared when we hire an executive director. And it feels like we're not prepared, and the evaluation is a way of preparing for what is it that we're looking for in an executive director. And so I see that happening before the director comes. We're not necessarily implementing anything. We're doing something very similar to what the Eakins report did, is you're bringing information back to us, and this is going to be the same thing with the business side, is information coming back to us, helping us make a better decision.
Okay. Ed, then John.
Yeah, so I had 2 things. So in that vein then, as long as we're not changing the HR org in any way until after the ED is around, then that's great. That being said, I have noticed that there has been an impact on staff operations because positions that are already budgeted are not filled right now. So I'd like to make a distinction between new hires and positions that are budgeted already used to have somebody don't anymore, for whatever reason. So I have noticed that there's an impact on communications in that way, that I think there's short-staffed there. And there may be others. I'm kind of a bit removed from staff, so that's the only one that pops to mind at the moment. I would just ask Kathy if there are any similar positions that could stand to be filled as a result, or whoever's...
So you mean positions that are already...
Already budgeted.
Already budgeted and approved in the annual budget?
Yeah.
So one is a payroll clerk.
Yeah.
Right now, we have asked Corrine to just stay on for a little bit longer while we work through this. So she's kind of temporary, I think.
She doesn't do any payroll work.
She doesn't do any payroll work? Okay, so we need somebody to do payroll. The lands administrator, so Rita as the director is still doing her old job as well as her director job. We had a position for registered care aide for elders posted, and that one got delayed. There's several infrastructure positions that the...
What are they?
What they are is that there's two positions, and what they are is those positions would take care of the day-to-day operations and making sure that everything that we have working around us is working around us, and would free up Torrance and Brandy to actually do project management and actually push our projects forward. Right now, they spend a lot of time running around trying to fix things and trying to get contractors in place to fix things and do that kind of work. And then the Child and Family Wellness team, now that they've moved, they needed a receptionist. And so we've contracted Nicole Malcolmson part-time, but I'm already getting complaints from citizens that she's not there all the time, and we can't hire. She has to be able to set her own hours as a contractor, so she just kind of shows up whenever, works for a few hours and then goes. But citizens are complaining that when they go in there, there's nobody greeting them and there's nobody to take their questions and stuff. So.
Is that,
So okay.
oh, I just wanted to see if that captured as well on that child and family wellness. Does that also include daycare services? Because I know in the map that's an area where there's a need there, right?
Yeah.
And there's no one in place down there for that.
Yeah, Claire's off until October 1st. We're hoping she comes back on October 1st, and then we'll be in a position to open the daycare again. But yeah, we can't even get somebody in there temporary, so we can't advertise.
I want to ask Executive Council, then there is a mood to revisit the motion and take into consideration the information we have now. And the information being that these were in the budget based on the plan that we approved. So I want to know if there's an appetite to revisit that motion, to have it worded another way that these positions could be considered. Connie, then Trevor?
I would say just the ones that were posted be applied before this motion was made. I know that we approved a plan, and I know that we approved a budget with positions. There was also LNG was a part of that. There's a lot of changes that have happened, and if we're just going to go with as the budget sits and all of the positions that are there, there's no point really doing a review, because we're just going to go back to adopting what we adopted that we want. The idea was to have a look at and evaluate. So I can approve or agree with the postings that were out and getting those filled. But if we're just going to fill all those other positions, then there's no point doing a review.
So which ones are those of that?
Those ones were all in the process when that motion came forward.
But she's been posted, the ones that were posted.
Some of them we were ready to hand them their letter of offer, so all 5 of those were.
Okay, so you're prepared to make a motion that there's any positions that were posted
Yep.
prior to
Up
the
to the date.
Up to the decision?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there, you moved that, and did you second it? No?
No, I was gonna speak to the.
Or do you want to move it, Connie? That should be my question.
Yeah.
Moved by
I'll move
Connie,
it.
seconded by Charlie. John, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the difference between the ones that were posted up to that date and any of them that aren't filled. Is there a difference there?
Yeah, there's some positions that aren't currently filled that we can wait on.
Okay, so which ones are they?
Things like the second or the third communications person.
Okay.
There is a couple of positions in the community services department. I don't know them all off the top of my head, John, but there's a
Okay.
few. There's a few that haven't been filled yet.
Probably.
Sure.
So this might just complicate things because you just put a motion forward, but, is it the process if we put a motion forward and the executive director thinks that the motion can't be implemented, that she should come back to us with a report outlining those positions?
Why it can't be, yeah.
I mean, seems the prudent thing to do, right, John? Like, and how you would approach things as an executive director is to come back to us and say, this is how it's impacting. I mean, we had people running on campaigns saying that we were in dire straits and that money's an issue, but we're addressing that by saying we're gonna put a freeze. But if we approve now, then we're going back on that. So that's a consideration of mine. So my thought is executive council, the executive director should be coming back to executive council with a report saying whether they can implement the motion or can't.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to determine whether we had a second or.
Robert, can I speak to that?
No.
So I think the first thing is that motion came on the fly. That one was walked in, and so there wasn't the ability to kind of like think it through and go, okay, what does this mean? The conversation at the time was what Charlie had said, in that it sounded like that we were going to be able to fill the positions that we had in place. But then once the motion was written and signed off on, and we had it in front of us, the HR manager just said, no way, I'm not hiring anybody, forget it, everything's pulled, because I'm not getting in trouble for that. So we were like, okay, there was no kind of wiggle room there. And so we thought, okay, well, the process hopefully won't take very long and we'll be able to get that all put through. So we have been working within the scope of having those minimal positions. Yes, it is impacting some staff. We always are in that position that we're always missing people. We're never at a full complement. So we're always trying to figure that out. So yeah, we're trying to honor Executive Council's wishes and to do the organizational restructure or evaluation. And I actually think that that's a really good idea. So, I mean, I don't disagree. I think that through some conversations with Charlie about the infrastructure department and the inability to move projects forward is how this came this way again through Charlie, because he said, well, I want to talk more about this. Am I misrepresenting you, Charlie, or not?
Trevor, can you repeat when I was really talking, what you're saying, the main point?
Okay, so my main point with this coming up is if the executive director feels that she has an issue with implementing a motion within our legislation, doesn't it say she's to come back to executive council with a report on how she cannot? Because what should be included in that report, what she just talked to, is HR manager not wanting to move things. We have to respect that position and understand that if the HR manager is saying this, then that should come back to us. But if it comes in a way that we're not getting all the information, how are we supposed to make motions?
I see, okay. See, and I fully understand, and that's exactly right. You're just saying that those two clauses that refer to the executive director to carry out the decisions of the executive council, in the event that the executive director can't, there's supposed to be a written report to executive council why it can't be carried out, period. But we have a motion on the floor now that says that we're willing to look at positions that were posted prior to the motion, up to and prior to the motion. That's right.
That's what.
So maybe can we ask Kathy to list what those ones, whose those will be then?
What positions they are?
Yeah.
It's the Child and Family Wellness Receptionist, the Lands Permit Administrator, the Payroll Clerk, an Elders Registered Care Aide, and an infrastructure position that is a facilities maintenance person. There's one in Port Alberni and one in Annapolis, but we could do with one.
So anyway, that's the motion that enables those positions to be considered. Any more discussion on the motion?
So, do you want to read out the motion?
Are those some of their infrastructure positions, Governor?
So I have, be it resolved that Executive Council here by allows these 5 positions, and then, which is the payroll clerk, lands administrator, reg care aide, child and family well receptionist, and the facilities manager, to be posted,
No, I think it should just be to be concluded according to how it was done already. So the postings have been completed, so just to be concluded.
prior to the July 11th motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
But don't say it needs to be posted again, because that just resets the clock.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
you-
in that case, it will only be 3 positions, I think. Did you have, yours was in first?
We were 1 week away from interviews.
No, then it was already posted then.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Since we're talking about the ones that have already been posted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
there
but
was
we don't know
2
what
that weren't,
definition of posted
that
would
were
be.
posted but weren't.
Here, executive
gone
director
over.
posted.
Yeah, but if you're doing interviews, that would just.
It was posted, so
Yeah.
it was advertised.
Publicly posted.
Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for me, if you were to a point where you had already shortlisted interviews, I would just conduct those interviews. So let's structure the decision so you can just do that.
yeah, that to me, that it's included in the motion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So wherever pause was hit or stop was hit, you can just pick up from there. That would be.
Yeah, it's depending on whether those people are still available.
Yeah, obviously, but you know.
So it might be that they're not available and it's better to just wait.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, if they're not available, we can repost, right?
No, they just said no posting.
So we're just finishing
So if we
off.
can't get the people who weren't available 3 months ago,
No,
these
I
positions
would
can't
say
be filled.
you're gonna hire the ones that were posted, and then if somebody from that posting withdrew, I would still see it that you can continue with that.
Go to the next person down.
Yeah.
And,
Whether that means you repost again, that's how I would interpret it.
Including that, fulfilling that
Yeah.
position.
Position. So you would be able to repost. It's just if you're in a place where you don't need to, then
Mhm.
don't.
We don't have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense, Paul?
Yeah.
Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's have a clear understanding of the motion, is that we're lifting the hiring freeze on
Yeah.
any positions that were posted up to,
On the following,
So those are the 5 that we had, that Kathy had
and the
listed,
5.
yeah,
to be concluded prior to the July
Our
11th.
understanding, there's 5 positions.
There's 5 positions, but 2 of them were posted at the time, but we hadn't got to the shortlist stage.
Well, that's what
Well,
the
that's
motion
still part
says,
of it.
posted.
It's still
Yeah.
part of the post.
yeah.
But we would have to repost it because we hadn't
Yeah.
posted it for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah.
only,
Yeah.
yeah.
The point is filling the position. It's not
Concluding
Yeah,
that.
concluding the, yeah.
Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none, motion carried by consent.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. John?
On that, since we don't have a deadline for the review, would it be useful for us to have like just a loose deadline of like the end of January to conclude the review?
Even so.
On the organization side.
I would, on the organization side, I would say before Christmas break.
I wasn't sure if that was okay, but that was
Well,
my first.
I'm looking October 31st.
And I would say we should, I would maybe go a step in regards to just, we should set the task group again forward, because I thought when we came out of that meeting, we talked about it in parallel together when we were talking about the executive director search and the review.
Yeah.
Pick a date,
So October 31st.
October 31st. There we go.
End of November? Because
6 weeks.
6 weeks would be better, yeah.
6 weeks.
Well, that is
Yeah,
6 weeks.
yeah. It is almost exactly.
Yeah, it is 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, Connie, sorry.
for clarity, the task force is John, myself, and Trevor? Okay, I just want for
Yeah, I know.
clarity.
So
I wouldn't foist it on you if I were part of the foistees.
you're okay with October 31st? Are you okay with that? And, you know, 6
I'm
weeks?
not certain of 6 weeks.
How about up to end of
Charlie
November?
is your
Okay,
alternate.
yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah,
Up
that's
to?
better. Just, I don't wanna have to come back and say
For the
only conducted half the
hiring
work.
of the ED?
No, this
No,
is for the evaluation.
The evaluation of the, it's the
But I-
review, core review phase.
But do you think we're pushing the evaluation harder than we are pushing the executive director search? I think we do. I think in either case, you're gonna have
They'll be concurrent.
independents working for us, so I don't think it's
Yeah.
gonna be.
It's better to keep those teams separate anyway, like
Well,
whoever's
no, that could
working
be
with.
separate, just
Yeah.
in regards to the timing though, I don't think we
Yeah.
need for that.
Okay. That's that. Moving on, the agenda, we